Salutations and good morrow everyone, and welcome to a God of War Ragnarok video. With millions of players so excited to see the next addition to the God of War story, bringing Kratos and Atreus ever closer and going through and fighting even more huge and monstrous enemies, to gods, to strange monsters of new realms, here in the next addition to the God of War story, God of War Ragnarok is going to promise to bring all of these. Now, in the last game, we have gone through all sorts of different trials and perils in God of War 2018, and God of War Ragnarok that comes out very, very soon has promised to bring even more of all of this to the game for us. So let's go over 10 different things that we know for sure that have been confirmed by Santa Monica Studios that are going to be in God of War Ragnarok. So we're going to start off with some interesting news, and that is the fact that God of War Ragnarok is actually the end of the Norse Saga of God of War. After only 2 games, they're already bringing the Norse edition of this game to a close. Now, this makes sense because technically Ragnarok is the end of Norse religion and the end of all things. That's what it's there for. It's when Asgard's destroyed by Surtur and all sorts of bad things happen, including Fimbulwinter, which is forever winter, and all sorts of things like that. Forgive me, my Norse mythology is not the best. But this is the end of the Norse version of this game. End of the Vikings, end of Thor, end of Odin, end of all of this. It's all ending inside of this God of War game. So we've been promised a full action-packed game that is going to bring all sorts of new tests and trials to our dynamic duo of Atreus and Kratos. In God of War 2018, we were granted access to 6 different realms. From Midgard to Muspelheim, to Helheim to Niflheim, Jotunheim and Elfheim, we were able to go through and explore all sorts of different areas, fighting all new mobs, all new bosses, and seeing awesome environments that were crafted by the wonderful people at Santa Monica Studios. But in God of War Ragnarok, they have promised that we'll be visiting all 9 realms. That means we're going to be going to Vanaheim and Svartalfheim, as well as Asgard. Yes, Svartalfheim is the home of the dwarves of Sindri and Brock, and we're going to be able to go through and explore their world of lush and awesome things, of upgraded areas and awesome machines. We're going to be going through and finding out all of these different things and visiting some of our old friends. I'm very excited to go check out these new areas, and I hope that all of you guys are as well. One of the biggest gripes of God of War 2018 was the fact that there was not very much variety when it came to the standard enemies that you were fighting throughout the game. If you didn't have the worms, you had wolves. If you didn't have them, you had Draugr or night elves. And that was really the extent of the main portion of the enemies that are inside of God of War 2018. Well, they have heard our feedback at Santa Monica Studios and have promised all sorts of new varieties of enemies, all sorts of new bosses, and a really dynamic way of being able to fight, with different ways to fight each one of the new enemies, different weak points, different ways to take them down, and different finishers to boot for all of them. Another thing that a lot of people were disappointed by in God of War 2018 was the fact that the Blades of Chaos came about halfway through the game, so they weren't able to be used in their standard awesome way that they had in all the previous 6 God of War games. We'll call it the Olympian Saga. Throughout the Olympian Saga, Kratos became an absolute monster, being able to use these blades, not only going through and decimating thousands and millions of people with them, but also taking out all of the Olympian gods and heroes alike, and taking down that entire universe as a whole. Inside of God of War Ragnarok, they have promised all new fighting styles, new traversal techniques, from being able to use your chains to pull yourself around, jump down attacks that you can smash down onto enemies, and all new finishers and all new epic attacks that are going to be done that way, including charge-up attacks once again from your Leviathan Axe and your Blades of Chaos. So fighting has really gotten a massive upgrade, especially seeing how you start the game with both the Leviathan Axe and the Blades of Chaos, bringing all new combos for you to use throughout the game of God of War Ragnarok. Another new thing that's coming for in addition to fighting is all of the different shields that are in the game. In God of War 2018, you had your standard shield that was given to you on the anniversary of when Faye and Kratos met and got together. Now, this was the standard golden shield that you used throughout the entire game, and if you got the deluxe edition, you were able to get a black shield as well that was crafted by one of the Giant's mastersmiths. But this was not actually an upgrade in any sense, it just made it look a little bit different. It didn't actually do anything. Where in God of War Ragnarok, we have been confirmed at least 3 different shields that are coming to the game. One that is not allowing you to do any sort of perfect blocking or parrying at all, just to charge up blocked damage and slam it down on the ground in order to knock all of your enemies over or into the air once it gets strong enough. Where there's another shield that is mainly built for parrying, and as you use it and as you go through and perfect parry more and more enemies, you'll be able to do an awesome ground smash attack as well that will allow you to knock characters or enemies up into the air as well. And this is just the start of all of the new shields that have been confirmed that are in the game. We have seen so far a total of 3 just throughout cutscenes, and I'm sure that there's going to be even more that come to the game. Now, like God of War 2018, one of the best things that we liked about it was the fact that there was no loading screens. It was all a seamless game of transition where you were always just going and going. There was never cut black screens unless you died, and you went through and the entire game just felt as one cohesive story, beginning to end. It never stopped. Well, God of War Ragnarok is that exact same story build. It's that exact same way. No loading screens are going to be in this game, unless of course you die, but it's going to be a seamless story through a seamless camera that does not have cuts or edits or anything like that. Fades in and fades out. It is just going to be straight up gameplay. All in all, very excited to see this once again come to the next God of War game. Another thing about God of War 2016 that was kind of a little bit of a bummer was Kratos' kill moves. Now, in God of War 1, 2, and 3, we have seen all sorts of different kill moves done by Kratos and all sorts of different things. From hydras to minotaurs to humans to harpies, all sorts of different things were felled by Kratos, and they all had their own special finishers. Where in God of War 2018, it felt as though that you were doing the same finisher over and over and over again. Whether you were tearing somebody in half or slamming a giant pillar down on an ogre's head, it kind of felt like you were doing the exact same thing, except for boss kills. But even the mighty Valkyrie that were felled by Kratos and Atreus still had the same kills no matter what. Their endings were exactly the same over and over and over again. But in God of War Ragnarok, they have promised all sorts of new finishers depending on whatever weapon you are using and depending on whatever position you are faced around the creature or monster that you are fighting. So multiple endings, multiple kill styles, and multiple finishers for each of the enemies in the game. I don't know about you, but I know that I am very excited to see all of these come to the game. Do you remember those good old friends of yours, Brock and Sindri? Well, once again, in God of War Ragnarok, they are making an appearance. Not only are we traveling to their homeworld, but we're also going to be visiting all new shops that they have built, working together. You can see them once again, the dynamic duo of master weaponsmiths that are going through and making awesome things. They'll be going through and crafting new armor and new weapons for you once again, for you to go through and fight things inside of this game. I'm so excited to see all of them, and we also have a confirmed return of Mimir himself, the awesome storyteller, the most brilliant man alive. This is another thing that's going to bring another point of not only comedy, but also information to the God of War saga. As we know, Mimir was one of the main ones that told us all of the lore of Norse mythology and different things that had happened between Odin and Freya, Balder and Thor, and all of their other children as well, what happened between the realms as well as Tyr. Speaking of Tyr, Tyr is also going to make an appearance in this game, as well as another little giantess that's going to be in the game that is rumored to be the one that is supposed to marry Loki. But we'll see more about that in the actual game itself, if that does come true. Now, size really does matter when it comes to a God of War game, and they have committed to an absolutely massive game. They have committed to over 20 hours of story. Now, around 4 hours of this is actually going to be cutscenes, but all in all, they have committed to over 20 hours of story and an additional 20 plus hours of side quests without any other updates or DLC that has gotten added to the game. That makes this a well over 40-hour game, making it definitely worth the purchase price that they are asking. Now, this is going to be a very long game and one that a lot of people are really going to enjoy. Now, the last thing that I want to go over is definitely an upgrade that really was needed. Atreus himself in God of War 2018 was not all that helpful. He had his summons from his boars to his ravens and his wolves. All of them were very helpful, but his arrows always came as a little bit of a hindrance. From time to time, it was always switching over and having to help the boy around or having to call upon him to shoot arrows. And throughout the game, he got more helpful. Where in God of War Ragnarok, Kratos has spent 3 years now training Atreus in the art of battle. In between God of War and God of War Ragnarok, it has been 3 years of winter and training. So Atreus himself is going to be way more versatile, way more adaptive, and he'll actually get around the environment on his own as well, including all sorts of new magic that he's going to be using and all sorts of new skills and fighting moves that he is going to have to be able to assist Kratos in taking down even the largest of monsters. Alright guys, and that is going to do it for today's God of War Ragnarok video. Thank you all so much for watching all the way to the end. As a reminder, all you guys, please don't forget to subscribe because I plan on doing a complete 100% playthrough of God of War Ragnarok on this channel. Story and all, just the same as I have been doing my God of War 2018 playthrough. But thank you guys all so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.